Oh my god, this isn't just some celebrity dating rumor. It's literally the WNBA's biggest superstar potentially having her love life explode all over social media. And you guys, the internet is absolutely losing its mind right now. Because when Caitlin Clark steps out anywhere, people notice. But when she's spotted with someone who might be more than just a friend, girl, that's front page news in the basketball world. And honestly, the way the story is developing is kind of insane. So, let me just start by saying that Caitlin Clark has basically been the most talked about athlete in women's sports for the past 2 years. We're talking about someone who literally transformed an entire sport just by existing. And you guys, when someone has that level of visibility, every single aspect of their life becomes public property, whether they want it or not. It's actually crazy when you think about it. But here's the thing that's got everyone talking right now. Social media has been absolutely buzzing with speculation about Caitlin's personal life. And honestly, the way people are analyzing every single photo, every Instagram story, every public appearance is kind of wild. I'm not even kidding when I say that people are out here doing full detective work on this girl's social media accounts. And you guys, can we just talk about how this all started? Because it's actually kind of a perfect storm situation. Caitlin Clark has always been pretty private about her personal life, which honestly makes sense when you're dealing with the level of attention she gets. But lately, there have been some social media posts and public appearances that have people asking questions. And once the internet gets curious about something like this, there's literally no stopping it. So anyway, let's talk about what we actually know about Caitlin Clark's dating history, because girl, this is where it gets interesting. Throughout her time at the University of Iowa, Caitlin was pretty focused on basketball, which obviously makes sense when you're trying to become the face of women's college basketball. But even then, people were curious about her personal life. And honestly, the way fans analyze every aspect of these athletes' lives is both fascinating and kind of intense. During her college years, there were occasional rumors and speculation about who she might be dating, but Caitlin was always really good about keeping that stuff private. And you guys, I actually respect that so much, because when you're trying to build a career and you're constantly in the build spotlight, having some aspects of your life that are just yours has to be so important. But now that she's in the WNBA and her profile has gotten even bigger, the interest in her personal life has absolutely exploded. Literally every time she posts anything on social media, people are in the comments trying to figure out if there's some hidden meaning or if someone in the background might be significant. It's actually kind of crazy how invested people get in these athletes' personal lives. And honestly, when you think about it, Caitlin Clark's impact on women's basketball has been so massive that everything about her becomes news. We're talking about someone who increased WNBA viewership by hundreds of %, who has sold out arenas across the country, who has literally changed how people think about women's sports. So, when someone with that level of influence potentially has relationship news, it's going to be a big deal. But here's where things get really interesting. The way social media works now, especially with platforms like TikTok and Instagram, means that literally any public appearance can become content. People are constantly filming, constantly posting, constantly looking for that viral moment. And when you're Caitlin Clark, pretty much everywhere you go, someone's going to have their phone out. So imagine you're just trying to live your life. Maybe grab dinner with friends, maybe go to a movie, maybe attend some event. And every single time there's the possibility that someone's going to film you and then post it online for millions of people to analyze. That has to be such a weird way to live, but that's literally the reality for athletes at Caitlin's level now. And you guys, the way people analyze these social media posts and public appearances is honestly next level. You got people are looking at who liked what post, who commented, what emoji, who was tagged in what story. It's like a whole science of trying to figure out celebrity relationships through social media clues. And honestly, some of these internet detectives are scary good at. But let's talk about what this means for someone like Caitlin Clark specifically, because she's not just any athlete. She's literally the face of women's basketball right now. Every decision she makes, every person she's seen with, every social media post gets scrutinized in a way that most people can't even imagine. And when you add potential relationship drama to that girl, it's like throwing gasoline on a fire. The thing about the WNBA specifically is that it's still a relatively small league where everyone kind of knows everyone. So, when there's relationship drama or dating news, it tends to spread pretty quickly through the basketball community. And with social media the way it is now, what starts as gossip in basketball circles can become trending topics nationwide in hours. And honestly, this brings up such an interesting point about privacy and celebrity culture. At what point does someone's personal life become fair game for public consumption? Caitlin Clark never has to be analyzed and dissected the way she is. But that's just the reality of being successful in sports now. Everything becomes content. Everything becomes a story. Everything becomes something for people to have opinions about. But you guys, let's also talk about how this affects her actual basketball career, because that's what's really important here. Caitlin Clark is in the middle of what could be a legendary career. She's already broken so many records, already changed the landscape of women's basketball, already inspired a whole generation of young players, and having her personal life constantly scrutinized has to affect that in some way. The pressure of being the face of the WNBA is already enormous. You're expected to perform on the court. You're expected to be a role model off the court. You're expected to handle media responsibilities. You're expected to grow the sport. And then on top of all that, every aspect of your personal life becomes a topic for public discussion. Like, that sounds exhausting, honestly. And when you think about it, Caitlin Clark is still really young. She's 22 years old, which means she's dealing with all the normal stuff that people her age deal with. Figuring out relationships, figuring out who she is as a person, figuring out what she wants her life to look like. But she has to do all of that under this incredible public microscope. But here's what's actually kind of cool about the current situation. The fact that people are so interested in Caitlin Clark's personal life is actually a testament to how much she's elevated women's basketball. Like, when was the last time a WNBA player's dating life was front-page news? When was the last time people cared this much about a women's basketball player's personal relationships? This level of interest is actually pretty unprecedented for women's sports. And you guys, that's both exciting and probably overwhelming for someone in Caitlin's position. On one hand, the fact that she has this level of cultural relevance is amazing for women's basketball. It means the sport is reaching new audiences. It means young girls have someone to look up to. It means women's athletics are getting the attention they deserve. But on the other hand, being under that level of scrutiny for everything you do has to be incredibly challenging. Every outfit choice gets analyzed. Every friend you're seen with becomes a potential story. Every social media post gets dissected for hidden meanings. That's a lot of pressure for anyone, let alone someone who's still in their early 20s. And honestly, this is where I think we as fans need to be more thoughtful about how we consume celebrity content. Like, it's natural to be curious about the personal lives of people we admire, but there's definitely a line between healthy interest and invasive behavior. And with social media making it so easy to speculate and spread rumors, that line gets crossed pretty frequently. But let's also acknowledge that this kind of attention comes with the territory when you're as successful as Caitlin Clark has been. She's chosen to be a public figure. She's built her brand around being accessible to fans. She's embraced the platform that comes with being a star athlete. So, while the attention on her personal life might be intense, it's also kind of part of the deal when you reach her level of success. And you guys, the way this story has been developing on social media is actually a perfect example of how celebrity culture works now. Something gets posted. People start speculating. The speculation builds momentum, and before you know it, you have a viral story that everyone's talking about. It doesn't matter if the original thing was significant or not. Once the internet decides something is interesting, it takes on a life of its own. The speed at which these stories spread now is honestly incredible. Like, something can happen in the afternoon and by evening it's trending on multiple platforms with thousands of people weighing in with their opinions. And once something reaches that level of viral attention, it becomes almost impossible to control the narrative around it. For someone like Caitlin Clark, this creates such an interesting dynamic. She has this massive platform and this incredible influence, but she also has to be constantly aware that anything she does in public might become content for other people. Every decision has to be made with the understanding that it might end up being analyzed by thousands of strangers on the internet. And honestly, I think this is something that older generations of athletes didn't really have to deal with. Like, yeah, there were always paparazzi and gossip columns, but the speed and scale of social media, attention is just completely different. Now, literally anyone with a phone can become a paparazzi. And literally any moment can become a viral sensation. But here's what I find really interesting about how Caitlin Clark has handled all of this attention. She's managed to maintain this really authentic presence on social media while also keeping certain aspects of her life private. Like, she shares enough to keep fans engaged and to build her brand, but she's also clearly set some boundaries about what she will and won't discuss publicly. And you guys, that balance has to be so difficult to maintain, especially when you're dealing with the level of speculation and analysis that surrounds everything she does. But so far, she's done a really good job of staying focused on basketball while also building this incredible personal brand that extends way beyond just sports. The business side of this is actually really interesting too, because when you're someone like Caitlin Clark, your personal brand is literally worth millions of dollars. Endorsement deals, sponsorship, agreements, media appearances, all of that stuff is connected to how the public perceives you as a person, not just as an athlete. So managing your public image becomes this really delicate balancing act. And honestly, the way social media amplifies everything now means that one wrong move or one misinterpreted moment can potentially affect your career in ways that previous generations of athletes never had to worry about. Everything is permanent now. Everything can be screenshotted and shared. Everything becomes part of your permanent digital footprint. But let's also talk about the positive aspects of this attention, because the fact that people care this much about Caitlin Clark's personal life is actually a sign of how much she's accomplished and how much influence she has. When people are invested in every aspect of your life, it means you've transcended. Just being an athlete, you've become a cultural figure. And for women's sports specifically, having someone with this level of cultural relevance is huge. It means young girls have someone to look up to. It means women's athletics are getting mainstream. The Tunisian. It means there's finally a female athlete who can command the kind of media attention that male athletes have always received. So, while the constant scrutiny of her personal life might be challenging for Caitlin personally, it's also a sign that women's basketball has reached a new level of cultural significance. And honestly, that's pretty exciting for everyone who cares about gender equality in sports. But you guys, as this story continues to develop and as people continue to speculate about every aspect of Caitlin Clark's personal life, I think it's important to remember that she's a real person dealing with real emotions and real relationships. The fact that she's famous doesn't mean she doesn't deserve some level of privacy and respect when it comes to her personal choices. And honestly, the best thing we can do as fans is support her basketball career and celebrate her achievements while also giving her the space to live her life. Because at the end of the day, what makes this Caitlin Clark special isn't who she's dating or what she's doing in her free time. It's the incredible talent and work ethic that made her the best women's basketball player in the world. So, whether this current speculation turns out to be true or not, whether she's dating someone or not, whether any of these viral moments mean anything or not, what really matters is that she continues to dominate on the basketball court and inspire the next generation of female athletes. Everything else is just noise. And honestly, she's way too talented and too focused to let any of that distract her from what she's trying to accomplish. But girl, I have to admit, I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on how this story develops, because when it comes to Caitlin Clark, literally everything she does is interesting. And this whole situation is just another reminder of how much influence she has and how much people care about everything she does. What do you guys think about all this speculation around Caitlin Clark's personal life? Do you think athletes deserve more privacy, or is this just part of being famous? And honestly, how do you think this level of attention affects her ability to focus on basketball? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I'm genuinely curious about how other people feel about this whole celebrity culture thing, especially when it comes to women's sports. And obviously, hit subscribe, because we're definitely going to be covering more Caitlin Clark content as her career continues to absolutely explode.